Do a breakdown. This is a new thing for me in terms of using my web camera with the video itself of the latest Superman trailer, the official trailer, which came out on Wednesday, the 14th. Really enjoyed it, but I want to do a little breakdown and give you my thoughts as I go along. Before I recorded my reaction. I actually played the video twice because everything went by so fast. It seemed to me in the first showing. Then I, was able to again look at it the second time. But I want to stop the video as I go along and just give you my little insights to the trailer as it happens and stuff. So let's get to it. And again, we'll see. Hopefully this comes out correct because this is the first time I'm doing this with my web camera and the video actually playing using Wondershare for more, doing screen recording. So hopefully this comes out right. Fingers crossed. So let's go. Let's start the video, and then I'll stop it as I go along and explain to you why I stopped it. Okay, so let's go.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah. Okay, the reason I stopped it here is because this, this didn't bother me. I wondered why it seemed like they were so close together. And then I remembered the first teaser trailer that came out in December. You remember they're kind of making out in the kitchen. And I think there's a point where he picks her up. And I guess and again, this is Lois's apartment. Okay, we know that from before. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a photo in her room that has her name on it, Lois. But this is her apartment. Anyway, you see they're so close like this because they just got through making out. That's why they're so close together. I was wondering because it looked really weird at first that he's so close to the camera. Clark is so close to the camera. But they were making out. If you see the first trailer, you see towards the end of the trailer, you see them making out in her kitchen. Okay? And she's wearing the outfit she's wearing is what she's wearing when you see her walk through like the Daily Planet. She's walking through the Daily Planet, and she's she kind of looks at Clark where he sits down at his desk with his glasses on and all that stuff. So and she's pretending like they don't that they're not in a relationship even though they are. So I just wanted to explain that why it looks so why he's so close to her like that. Because it looked weird at first, but then you remember if you watch the teaser trailer, that they were making out in the kitchen. Okay, and so that's why he's so close. She's sitting up on I think right against the cabinet because he picked her up. And David Cohen's like 6'4", I think Rachel Brosnahan's like 6'5", 6" or something. So he obviously picks her up and kind of carries her and sits her on the counter. And then I guess they start talking. He's talking about that she can interview him. So anyway, let's continue.
You let me interview you as Superman.
Sure. Now, a lot of people were saying. Some people were saying. Again, not everybody. Was saying that why would he agree to, or she's pretending that he's Superman. She would be. No, but I don't think it's a pretend thing. I think she knows that he's Superman. They've been dating a few months, and she actually does want to do an interview with Superman. And I guess maybe he's been hesitant about it, and then I guess he agrees to do this because he feels closer to her now, and he agrees to do this. And you see that recorder she had. It's called Lord Tech, which obviously is Maxwell Lord, who's in this movie, played by James Gunn's brother. Okay, so he's in the movie. But anyway, so let's continue on. But I just wanted to point that out, that I don't think this is like him pretending to be Superman. Not the way he acts. He's not pretending. He's not getting all emotional. And I don't think that's a fake out by James Gunn that she really doesn't know that he's Superman. Come on, he's not wearing his glasses, and come on, and the way you see him reacting to these questions, she knows he's Superman. Anyway, so let's continue.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
And I know a lot of people did say like that when he did kind of change his voice to make it kind of deeper, or give you that kind of Superman voice, which a lot of people caught that, and it is kind of cool that he does that. And I think this is, I don't know what that is right there. I think that might be a ship or something, but you see the building is partly gone. Okay, I don't know if that's the ship that the thing. What's he call that? The Bravia individual came in to come to Metropolis. But anyway, let's continue on.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for
I
what
know,
some
it's a
might.
lot of fire.
It's a lot.
And I think, because if you look at his suit, it's burned, partly burned. This may be where he's fighting the kaiju, although it looks like he saves a couple of people during the kaiju attack. So why would they be pissed at him? It makes no sense. Or maybe he came late, or I don't know why they would be pissed off, because he looked like he saved a bunch of people, and you actually see it. Well, we'll continue on this, but this is obviously after he's fought the kaiju, and maybe this is after he's fought the kaiju and those buildings collapse. Maybe that's what it is. Why they're pissed off because he couldn't stop the buildings from collapsing, and that's why these people are pissed off. I don't know why they would be pissed off at him, yelling at him. But anyway, let's continue.
Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's fine.
Rick Flag Sr., obviously.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Yeah, see? He said, like I said. Like I said, I don't know, what exact. Well, I guess they'll show it in the movie how he stopped the war and stuff, but let's continue on.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
Okay, she says he illegally entered the country. Obviously, maybe he heard that young boy that we see in the trailer, in the teaser trailer, in this trailer, who's, screaming out for Superman, and maybe he even sees it on the news reports, and he goes there, Clark, obviously, and stops. And obviously, we have Rick Flag, who's not the Secretary of Defense. He's, I think he's the head of Argus, because I think either we find out in this movie that Amanda Waller has been replaced and Rick Flag Sr. has taken over, and then of course we have the Ultraman, which we think is the Superman clone, obviously, and the engineer right there in the army there, and Superman willingly giving himself up. I think that's what happens in this. He willingly gives himself up, okay? Because it's not like they can really capture, because they don't know who he is, so they can't really go to him unless he goes to them. And I think they probably make an appeal on TV for him to turn himself in, and that's what he does. And I still think during the course of this movie, the engineer is going to have a change of mind in terms of Lex Luthor. And I also think Rick Flag Sr. is not dumb either, and he's going to figure out or find out that that Lex is pulling the strings and stuff, and then walk away from this. But let's continue.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not.
You can see he's pissed off. You can tell he's pissed off. This is basically saying, "Why are you grilling me like this?" Okay. But she's really basically doing her job. She's asking him the hard questions. But I also think that at this moment in their relationship, she doesn't, she knows he's Superman and all that stuff. But I think, and later on when you see another scene in this trailer, that she doesn't get what he's feeling until she sees what he has to go through as this, as this alien, human being. She doesn't really get what he's going through until she sees that moment with his parents. But I'll continue on.
The one being interviewed, Superman.
And like I said, this guy pressing Superman's neck into the ground. Now Superman's handcuffed, obviously, but this guy is strong enough to press Superman's head into the ground to break the concrete. Okay, which is why I think that's the Superman clone, which we'll find out. And I think when that clone gets his face mask pulled off, that's going to be David Cornsweet. Okay, I think that he's playing that dual role. But anyway, let's continue.
Did you consult with the president?
Look at that arrogant look on Lex Luthor's face. Look at that. He has this look like, yeah, I got you, you son of a, he has that look on his face. Okay, Nicholas Holt's going to kill it, but.
No.
You seemingly acted as a representative.
And also, they made a reference to that he talked to the president. We know in the comics Lex Luthor, has run for president, has been president, but I don't think in this movie he's president. That may come later down the line, but I don't think he's president. But maybe that means James Gunn's just subtle way of referring back to that moment in the comics that when Lex Luthor becomes the president. See, and you see this with all the buildings crashing. I think that's the result of the kaiju. Maybe that's when Superman hits the kaiju, and the kaiju falls against the buildings, and the buildings collapse. And Superman's not. He can't get in time. He can't get there in time to stop the buildings from collapsing. Because there's another shot you see in the trailer later that you'll see that's all cloudy. The Superman rises. That maybe he couldn't get there in time to stop all the buildings from collapsing on each other, and maybe that's why the people are pissed off at him.
And doing good.
Because it's them separate, saving the young girl.
I would question myself in the same situation.
See, that's the Bravia right there. I forgot they called Bravia, and which I think this person, that could be the clone in that because there could be I think what they call the Prince of Bravia or whatever that it's called, Bravia, right? Their land. Maybe Lex Luthor just uses that guy. Maybe Lex Luthor goes over there with the clone of Superman, kills the real Prince of Bravia, whatever he is, and puts the clone in this suit. And maybe because again that it looks like heat vision that he's attacking that building with. So maybe at first he puts him in that, okay, and then maybe then later he puts him in the black suit. But let's continue. But I like this fight. And you see these little drones like filming, and that's Lex Luthor, filming this. Obviously, he's probably going to edit it for his own, for obviously to make Superman look bad.
Consider the consequences.
See,
You're going to die.
see, he's very passionate about that. That's why I don't think this is I don't think that's a fake out with him pretending to be answering the questions as Superman. Okay, I think that would be silly for them to be playing that kind of a game. Okay, but I think she knows he's Superman at that point, and she's really doing a real honest interview. Okay, so this is Superman falling out of the sky. I don't know if this is when he's fighting the. I think this might be when he's fighting the. Although it may be two different scenes of him fighting the kaiju, because he falls and then next thing you know you see. Well, we'll see. Let it play out. See, I don't think that's because his suit doesn't look. The suit doesn't look damaged in that shot when he's falling. In the shot, the suit doesn't look damaged. It doesn't look burnt. Oh, okay. See, if you look at his suit, it doesn't look burnt right there. So that could be with him fighting the King of Bravia or whatever that metal creature, that fake-looking juggernaut-looking creature. It could be when he's fighting him that. But then the other scene is of him actually fighting the kaiju, engaging with the kaiju. And I like, his suit is just dirty. It's not burnt, you see? See? The suit is just dirty, not burnt. Okay? So he could be fighting right here, fighting the thing of Bravia right there. And I like that you got the regular civilian helping him up.
Hey, buddy.
See?
Eyes up here.
See? And you see, his suit is burnt here. Here, his suit is burnt. Okay? So, which obviously is, although I don't think it could be because, he used the heat, the Bravia is using his heat vision on this lower tech building. So, but I don't think that's the Superman's costume burnt because I don't think he's taking a direct hit from this. Could be. I still think it's him fighting the kaiju because his suit is burnt like this. Okay, and the other shot is this of him maybe fighting the Prince of Bravia or whoever that creature is in the juggernaut-looking suit. And I like this, again, versus in the lower tech building. And I like that the camera follows him up. Okay, that's it. And we know James Gunn has taken inspiration from the Top Gun movies. We know he's filmed it similar to the way they filmed those aerial scenes, which is cool. Okay, and this is, of course, gorgeous. And there's the engineer. Okay, I like the way the power set looks here. And, of course, there's her destroying the robots, which is messed up. And there's Luthor striding. And there's Krypto getting a quick shot on her. And then you see this woman here in the corner. I didn't realize that at first. But that's Miss Taskmaster, Luthor's girlfriend. That's her in this white outfit there. Okay, why he would bring? But because I would say, why would he bring her there? But apparently they said that she's his girlfriend and she's his social media influencer. I guess so. I guess she goes everywhere. She knows everything that he's doing. So it's like no secrets between them. And it looked like Krypto took a chunk out of her face But of course, the nanotechs, I think, will in her system will repair her face. But you know, she got sneak. She didn't, I think, expect to get attacked by a dog, a flying dog. Okay, and I don't think anything's going to happen to Crypto in this movie because he has to go. He'd be in the Supergirl movie. Okay, we're going to tomorrow, so nothing's going to happen to Crypto in this movie. Okay, he's not going to die or anything like that because he has to be in that movie. We know that. Okay, so he's not dying. Okay, and that's Superman breaking out of the containment cell. And I'll explain what I think, how he's able to do that and why he's in there, I guess. And there's this woman right here. She's about to get squashed by a kaiju. And Superman, you know, basically saving her at the last minute. And you hear the voiceover from Clark Kent. Okay, and I like that little shot of young Clark running into his father's arms.
Who you are.
See, that's a nice moment. Because I think during the course of this movie, Superman's going to have a little doubt about his mission and stuff and what he's doing. Is he really helping or hurting? I think he's going to have a little bit of doubt, and which I'll explain to you in that and when we see this other scene. Okay, that's Mr. Terrific. His T-Spheres coming out. It looks really, really good. Him taking care of a couple of soldiers. There's Luthor in the Fortress of Southwood. And I think what he does when he's in here, he's going to either find out about Kryptonite while he's in here. I think he's going to find out something. He's going to find out a few things. He may interact with the AI and stuff, and he's going to find out some things about Superman while he's in here. Okay. See, in this part right here, you see Clark. Clark is with his parents right there, his father and his mom right there, and he's in a suit right there. You see it. It's like he's recovering. This could be after he gets the dose of sunlight from the robots and stuff, and he goes back home, or this could be, yeah, I think it probably could be after he gets that dose of sunlight, or this could be after he's escaped from that prison, okay, from that prison, okay, and he's just barely made it. Okay, hold on, let's just play this on.
It's not bad.
See Lois looking at him, okay, and then you see right there that's Metamorpho right there in that cell, and if you look at his hand, it looks you see a little shade of green in there. I think right there, Luthor has instructed him how to make kryptonite out of himself. Because remember, Metamorpho is power set that he can change it to different elements and stuff. And I think he makes something like kryptonite, or at least something as close to it as he can make. And that, of course, weakens Superman, and that enables these soldiers to come in and basically beat the crap out of him.
He's an it.
See, and referring to Superman as an it. Okay, that's just crazy. And you see this. If you, I don't know, hold on, you can see this right there, right to the left. There's a girl in the cell right next to the left there, and you see there's somebody else to the right of her. So we know there's other people. And I'm sure James Gunn will put some Easter eggs in there, and maybe I don't know if that girl is Metamorpho's girlfriend, the woman he loves, because we know his girlfriend / wife, who becomes his wife, is related to the company, the owner of the company that he worked for when he had his accident and became Metamorpho. So that's how Luthor could be controlling him, Metamorpho, making him do what he wants to do because he has the woman he loves right next to him, and he probably threatened to kill her if you don't do what I say. Okay, so that could be that. Okay, and let's see. And I'm sure, like I said, we'll see other people in the other cells and stuff when Superman breaks out. Okay, and I think what happens is that scene you see Superman breaking out, I think Superman manages to convince Metamorpho to help him escape. Yeah, and you see that bright light before Superman breaks out. So he probably gives him he probably radiates like a sun, like the sun, and that gives Superman strength enough to break out of this containment cell. Because I don't know if Luthor, because you see that there's also a shot in that first teaser trailer where Luthor has sort of like a gun. And I don't know if he shoots Superman with kryptonite he puts maybe some of that kryptonite into bullets and he shoots Superman with it, and maybe that's why Superman is again weak. And then when Metamorpho, makes that, that you see him also in this trailer putting his fingers together, and maybe he makes that sunlight, that bright light that gives Superman, strength, and he has enough strength to break out, and maybe break out, and break other people out of those cells, and then he goes home. And I think that's when Lois comes to the realization. When Clark, you see Clark, like I said in that earlier shot, him laying on the bed and his parents comforting him. It looks like he's passed out, that he's been through some stuff, and this could be after this, everything happened with this, and he's gonna be doubting himself, and he's just tired, and he's doubting himself. That's why you see him in like regular, his farm, plaid shirt and all that stuff. And I think that's when his father gives him a pep talk and stuff, and his passion. I think that's when, and Lois comes there, and that's when she realized, she doesn't realize the burden that he's going through until that. I think at that moment she realized the burden that he has, that Superman has to go through, of being this alien that wants to help, and not, and feeling, people hating on him and stuff. And I think that's when she realizes everything that he goes through. And I think maybe that scene at the end where they're kissing is when she probably apologizes to him and says, "Listen, I didn't know what you was going through and stuff." And that's when they really become close, and I think that's when they kiss. But anyway, let's continue on. And right here, I think this is
Somehow
that scene right here. I think this is after the buildings collapse, and that's all the dust from the buildings collapsing, and Superman is like rising up because maybe he didn't get over there in time to stop them, and maybe that's why from collapsing. That's when the people are pissed off at him.
the entire world's conversation.
And that's a great shot of the this I guess Junior Justice League. You got Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific. And I still think at the end of this movie, Mr. Terrific, who I think, according to the screenshots that we saw the behind-the-scenes filming, that Mr. Terrific is actually, he's going to be more sympathetic to Superman. I think Guy Gardner is going to probably give him a hard time, and I think Hawk Girl will just be neutral with this. But I think Mr. Terrific is going to be the one that realizes, what are we doing working for Maxwell Lord, and I think he's going to walk away at the end of it. They may not, Hawk Girl and Miss Guy Gardner may not. I thought all three of them would, maybe at first, that they would walk away at the end of the movie realizing that they shouldn't be working for these corporate things, corporate beings, and maybe that's what, and they get their old costumes back. You'll see Guy Gardner in his original comic book costume, and same thing with Hawk Girl. And I think Mr. Terrific too will, I think he definitely will. If not all three of them, I think definitely Mr. Terrific at the end of this movie, he's going to be inspired by Superman and walk away from Lord Tech, and maybe even because I think James Gunn really does love Mr. Terrific, and he might do a I don't know if he'll do a movie about it, the Terrifics. He may do that down the line. I can see that happening because James Gunn's a big fan of Mr. Terrific and stuff. And he's one of the smartest men in the DC universe, and I can see that happening. So let's continue on. And that's that little kid raising the flag. Okay. And seeing that Superman fight. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me back it up a little bit because I didn't realize this at first until somebody pointed it out. Right there. Wait, hold on. Let's go. So you can miss it because it went by so fast. Right there. You see with her, she's throwing her spears, but right there, Mr. Terrific laying on the ground, knocked out. He probably got knocked out by either the engineer or that clone of Superman. Probably knocked him out. You see, he's knocked out completely. And I remember the behind-the-scenes video people were filming and stuff, and you see like them circling Superman, the engineer, and the fake Superman clone, Ultraman, and you see Superman just takes off, and I think that's when he flies to the fortress and collapses and all that stuff. But I think so I don't know if they follow him, although maybe it wouldn't make sense. Although maybe I wonder if when Superman's healing, when he gets that dose of kryptonite, not kryptonite, dose of sunlight from the robots, and he's laying on that thing, resting and stuff. Maybe that's when, maybe they actually do follow him to the fortress, and because the clone of Superman is a clone of, it has Superman's DNA in it, that's how they're able to get into the fortress. I think that's how they're able to get into the fortress, and I think that's, and then they could be destroying those robots while Superman is healing, and then maybe he wakes up and finds the robots. He's devastated. Okay, hold on. So let's continue on. And then he gets tackled by the Ultraman, aka fake clone Superman, and I think this scene right here is maybe that's where the underground facility is, and I don't know if this is when Superman's breaking out and he's opening and it's opening up, and all this everybody that Luthor's captured is breaking out. That could be this, and there's Luthor having a just going ape as crazy. Probably because that's when he finds out that Superman's escaped from that underground prison. He's probably pissed, beyond pissed. And I think right here, you see, because he has a little bit of stubble on his face, and I think that's when that's after he's recovered, and he has a little bit of doubt about going back and helping, and I think his father gives him that pep talk that we see in the trailers, and I think him and his, the parents has given that inspiration to go back, and I think that's what he's doing right there when she's saying that she cleaned his boots, because they probably took off the costume and stuff and cleaned it up and stuff, and maybe even have another costume for him to put on and stuff. She cleaned his boots, like she says, and basically inspired. And you can just tell the look on his face. He feels inspired to go back and fight.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
See, and he looks like, yep, that's like him, taking off his shirt. He's getting ready to, and there'll probably be a nice shot of him flying from the farm, going back to the city. And see, that's probably when he's coming back to tackle that big monster. And I love this shot of Guy Gardner just flipping off the people with his power ring. That's great. And I wonder, this is Hawkgirl tackling somebody. I don't know who that is. I'm trying to see who that was. She's like tackling somebody. I don't know if that's the engineer. Maybe that's who she's tackling. But I don't know who it is. She's screaming, but she's tackling somebody. That could be the engineer that she's tackling. And that's Jimmy and Clark playing her. And I love that this is Mess Tachmacher right there. When Superman's fighting that thing of Bravia, whatever that is. Okay, whether that's the true thing of Bravia or that's the clone of Superman inside of it. I don't think that's Luthor inside of that. I do think maybe at the end of the movie, Luthor will have his original battle suit at the end, and it'll be him facing off against Superman. And look at she's just she's an influencer, so she's taking a selfie. That's just absolutely hilarious. And I think that's that was the engineer. If you look closely, hold on. That's the engineer probably spreading her nanites at Superman. And this is when Superman, that scene that you see in the behind the scenes where you see Superman marching towards somebody, and that's Lex Luthor, and this is a shot of him flipping that desk because it goes by so fast you don't realize at first what that is, but that's a desk. That's why I pause it. It's Luthor's desk, and you see him sitting there right there, and I think that's Superman right there. I think he just flips the desk, because he's Superman. He can flip it, and it goes flying right against the glass, but it doesn't break, obviously. And see, there's Luthor. It's him and Luthor face to face. Okay, he's trying to be nonchalant about this, but Superman really wants to. Superman wants to rip him apart, but he won't because he's Superman. And hold on, let me just back that up for a minute. Oh yeah, and this could be. This is Mr. Terrific and Lois, because I think she starts to investigate exact Luthor, and she finds, I think she's the key to all this. She's going to find out that Luthor's behind everything with the framing of Superman and all that stuff, and maybe behind the King of Bravius, all that stuff. He started that, the fake war and all that stuff, that Luthor's behind it, and I think Lois goes to investigate it, and Mr. Terrific goes with her to protect her and stuff. Okay, and I think that's where that, because you see another earlier shot of that Bravia Abravia. I think I keep butchering that, but that's when you see that shot of them coming out, and I think that could be the same place. I don't know if this is where they discover where it is, that the underground layer where Luther, has kept all those creatures and stuff, and that's where that thing that's Prince of Bravia came from, and maybe this is where Mr. Terrific, maybe he finds out that clone, the Ultraman, is really a clone of Superman. Maybe they even have it on a computer somewhere, and he figures it out. Because remember, he's supposed to be, again, one of the smartest men in the DC universe. So, but that's him and Lois there. Okay, so let's continue. And that's Metamorpho right there, right, of course. And I think this is when, after Superman's convinced him to help him, and I think he's going to make a bright light to give Superman strength enough to break out of that prison and break everybody else out. I think that's what this is. And I don't know what this is because it happens so fast. This is the shot that I'm most confused about because you see a blast of light coming from somewhere. And I don't know if that's, hold on, if that's Superman or somebody blasting a light at somebody. Hold on, let me just see it. I'm trying to press it slowly so you can see. I think that might be Superman with his boots flying off, and then something shoots a bolt of light. Maybe that's him escaping, and that bolt of light comes out at him after him. See, I think that might be what that is. I don't know if that's maybe Ultraman, shooting his heat vision at Superman as Superman's fleeing, but I have no idea what that is until we'll see that. I don't know if we'll get a final trailer. We may get a final trailer, but I don't think we need one. But you never know. And there's Superman getting that burst of sunlight from the robots. And I think this is towards the end of the movie when she finds out when Superman's, Lex Luthor's been defeated and everything else, and she probably tells him that I don't know if she's going to apologize or maybe she'll tell him that she never realized everything that you're going through, Clark, and the very fact that you're keeping it all together, you want to help people, and I think that makes her in love with people. Sorry about that. And I think that's what makes her love him even more, and I think that's why they were making out right there, because maybe she figures, after she's helped Superman and stuff, and Luthor's been defeated, and I think that's when they have this nice warm reunion, which is really nice. And that's Superman flying. That's him, I think, fighting the kaiju. And I don't know, some people said this is maybe Superman doing a cannonball, where you see him flying back down. I don't know, maybe that's when the kaiju maybe smacks him back down. I don't know what that is. But you see him coming back first. So I don't know if that's him purposely flying back down like that, or the kaiju just like smacks him down and he goes flying.
You have a dog?
Yes, he does. Ah, that's just great. I love that shot. Okay. And again, look at read where it all began. See, Superman for all seasons, All-Star Superman, first superhero. These are the inspirations for James Gunn's movie. So I'm gonna try to get these comics. But these are the inspirations for James Gunn to make his Superman movie, which is absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so that's my breakdown. Let me close this. Okay, so that's my breakdown of this lovely movie, and I'm going to enjoy. So I'm just going to enjoy this movie, and just can't wait till it comes out, because I think this movie is gonna I have full faith in James Gunn that he's going to knock this out of the park. Okay, I have full faith that he's gonna knock this out of the park, and I definitely think he will kill it. And I also, again, this is my speculation, because I did a video about what James Gunn's next movie is going to be, potentially could be Batman and Superman, maybe World's Finest movie. And hopefully, if he did, James Gunn has cast Batman, his Batman already, and maybe and in a after credit scene, we'll have a meeting of Clark and Bruce together, okay, or Superman and Batman, okay, and then have that movie lead into that movie after, of course, the Supergirl movie, and then eventually do the Batman Brave and the Bold movie, and then eventually, the Justice League movie. So that's it for me. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so I think that's it for me. Okay, so that's it. So let me know what you think of my breakdown. Hopefully this came out, the filming of this came out okay. I don't see where this thing is, where it ended or nothing. So hopefully this thing I filmed it okay. So, okay, I'm going to try to close One to Share Film more, and hopefully I filmed it right and it comes out right when I play it back. Okay, so goodbye. Okay. Okay, so let's see.